James Kaufman, World News Report today. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone's after the Somalians with all of this fraud against our welfare systems. Well, let me tell you, it's not going to be only in Minnesota, and it's not going to be only the Somalians. Now, the Somalians are heavily into this. They'll do anything not to work. We have stories coming out of Michigan, stories coming out of Ohio, and stories coming out of Maine with Somalians, well, running most of the scams. However, the scams will extend across the United States. And we're talking about the elderly scams. We're talking about the child care scams. We're talking about the EBT scams for sure. We're talking about every type of welfare safety net that has been put in place to help the American citizen who might have fallen is being abused. And that's going to be by Caucasians, by blacks, and especially by Somalians. This is something happening just in Ohio, although we have credible stories so far out of Michigan, Maine, Massachusetts, Ohio, and other states. We've also found out that, again, this is not only happening with Somalians. This is a nationwide problem happening in every state and being perpetrated by every color person. Let's listen.
So these individuals tried to report the fraud that was happening in Ohio and then eventually came to me to say that we're watching providers rubber stamp paperwork for home health. So in Ohio, and there's many states like this, Pennsylvania and other states too, where you can go in and you can say my aging parent needs a home health care and I want to provide it. So the state will, as long as the doctor has approved it, continue to pay you. It could be for 10 hours, 12 hours, up to 24 when it's critical care. So you could sit at home without caring for an elderly parent who really doesn't need it, make about $75,000 to $90,000 a year. Now you add two parents, that's $180,000. Now you add your in-laws, $250,000. You continue to add this and you wonder, what are the services being provided? So a lot of providers came and said, fraud is occurring because we said we weren't going to rubber stamp this paperwork, so they went to other providers. Their home healthcare network saying, we'll make it worth your while. Well, sounds like a kickback to me. So we really need to investigate the Medicaid system and how much it's increased since the Somalian population came and who really needs critical care, because that's meant for our disabled, our elderly, and people who really need it. Not to just live off our system, and that's what's happening in Ohio. I think it's ridiculous, I think it's despicable, but authorities are now looking at it from the Attorney General's office to the U.S. Attorney's office. I flagged them all because this is Ohio tax dollars and we have to take it seriously. I'm tired of people telling me, well, this is the way it's always been, it's subjective and we can't really check. No, you can. Audit America, audit Ohio now, and I'm pushing for that in every single...
It's federal tax dollars, ding-a-ling. What an attorney. All right, it just gets worse, like I said. It's going to be every single state and every color and creed, although Somalians have pushed it to a new level for sure. Let's listen to why this is really allowed to happen. All right, here is a recorded telephone conversation between one of the fraudsters and the Attorney General. That's right, the Attorney General there in Minnesota.
I'm from Somalia. Yeah, I own restaurants and commercial properties. I'm a restaurant guy and also I own warehouses. We do distribution. We do most likely a food services most of the time. So.
We call him with all the issues with licensing and restaurants. Try to get help.
Warehouses, restaurants. Most of restaurants, like all restaurants, they have some sort of
food services industry.
Yep. Yeah, like if you need like machines, like
yes,
like ovens,
coffee machines,
coffee
ovens,
and all
anything. Yeah.
You just do the supplier.
Yeah. We called Suleiman because in the beginning of the COVID, they were the actual restaurant that stepped up to service our elderly. It started with the elderly and then went down to children and families that weren't able to feed their children. Yeah. So then we said, hey, reach out to other restaurants, and they took that upon themselves. Yeah.
Especially kids when they don't go to schools. There's a lot of issues.
And he's a huge contributor to Mayor Fry, so we figured, okay, this is a good guy.
I'm here to.
Yeah.
So,
I hope he remembers.
Yeah.
He remembers, but we also gently remind him. So, Nasra, Ikram, and Blackie, they are business leaders amongst business leaders.
Right.
Organizing hundreds of other small businesses in their industries and sectors, and they're here today as representatives of their cohort.
Ikram, what's your last name?
Mohammed.
Okay.
Mohamed.
Also add this.
There's
time
so many
because
spellings
I
to
explained
Mohammed.
to kids a very important concept where.
And this one, what's your last name?
Abshir. ABSHIR.
Because there's a difference between just like businesses want to come together and people who know how to organize. Like literally the first time when we say Isaiah and Muslim Coalition, all this, people didn't know how to be a member as a business, organization or association. Like they asked me, why do I need to be a member of that? And now today they're like at a point you just send the link, they sign up.
Right. Because
It's just a lot easier.
The
The
monthly
fees.
due. It's like a union.
So,
They understand the concept now.
Mahad, tell me your last name again.
Omar.
Omar. And Mumba?
Yep.
What's the last name?
Abshir Omar.
Abshir Omar.
So Mumba is the actual association,
Yeah,
Minnesota
Minority.
Minority.
Yeah. All right, it's an hour-long conversation. Obviously, they've recorded him in his office. He takes money for favor and doesn't prosecute the heads of the COVID scam. That's how this ends. I will leave a link to the recording in case anyone wants to sit through an hour of them patting each other on the back and paying each other off and talking about how money is king, right? So those were the Somalians in charge of the COVID fraud that started back in 2020 into 2021. Now, that has nothing to do with the fraud that's going on currently, right? But I wanted to show you what kind of person we were dealing with here, the Attorney General in Minnesota. Now, here is Kash Patel lying like he had boots on the ground in Minnesota before the people themselves had to uncover all this fraud. This case that he's referring to, I will show you what Grok says about it in a second. These numbers are real. These people were prosecuted for COVID fraud back in 2021 and 2022 under the Biden administration, and Kash Patel had nothing to do with any of it. Yes, folks, he comes in and talks about the 78 indictments and 57 convictions. But see, I already knew that story. It was from 2001. And remember the guy we just heard talking to Attorney General in Minnesota? Remember him? He spelled his name for you. Well, what do you know? He was also caught right here trying to bribe a juror with $120,000 in cash. But again, this has nothing to do with anything going on. Let's watch and see what Grok has to say. Hey, Grok. When did these COVID-era schemes Kash Patel is referring to start to be investigated and exposed? Did Kash Patel have anything to do with the beginning of those raids and investigations? He had nothing to do with the end of them. Was he the FBI director when those investigations began? Is he attempting to take credit for another era of FBI's work? The Feeding Our Children fraud investigation began February 2021 after Minnesota officials reported concerns to the FBI. Raids occurred in January 2022, the initial indictments in September 2022. No public records show Kash Patel involved in any early stages. He was not the FBI director then. He was not appointed until February 2025. The case has seen ongoing developments, including convictions before and after his appointment. What a slimeball to act like you were ahead of what we uncovered. Here he is right here, acting like he was ahead. Recent social media reports in Minnesota. However, even before the public conversation escalated on, the FBI had surged personnel and investigative resources to Minnesota to dismantle large-scale fraud schemes exploiting federal programs. Yes, but that was in 2021 and 2022, you jackass. You're the most embarrassing POS in the country. Get the hell out of the FBI. I'm going to finish once again here. This is not going to be a Minnesota, Ohio, Maine, Massachusetts problem. This is going to be nationwide, and it's not going to only, Somalians are not going to be the only pirates. They're going to be Caucasians, blacks, and every other nationality you can imagine involved in these welfare program scams. Let's get it cleaned up, and let's get a jackass like this that would try to take credit for something that happened in 2001, 4 years before he even got to the FBI. Let's take him out of the equation. Him and Pam Blondie, they're two, wings of the same bird, and it's a dead duck. God bless. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.